Going to look again at domain and range. This is something that we've talked about before. And so before we get to talking specifically about domain and range, let's specify what it is that we're talking about in terms of interval. So interval, we knew from unit 0 is specifically an x value thing. And we knew that we could have increasing intervals, decreasing intervals, and constant intervals. As long as we're reading left to right on a graph, we should understand exactly what it is. Again, left to right, the slope is up. Left to right, the slope is up. Those are increasing intervals. I know the y value is going upwards. That change is continuing to go up. And then from left to right, we highlight those locations. Decreasing interval is when from left to right we go down. And then, of course, the constant intervals is when we would go just horizontal, a flat line, if you will. So just understanding here in this situation that interval is specifically a conversation about x. If I was doing something and writing it out as opposed to just highlighting, we know no matter what, we would have that x in the middle of our compound inequality. That's how we've written it. On the other side, we learned that when we're not discussing intervals, we're talking domain and range. We're talking about the whole concept here in terms of all of the x values and all of the y values. So differentiating intervals from range, domain takes in all the situations, range would take in all the y values. So when I do that, one of the things that I would suggest to you, or that we suggested before at least, is understanding that this is more about a question about the axis, right? If I take a look here and I look specifically at the x-axis, there is an x value on that piecewise function there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces there, 5 change of direction. There's an x value for everything there that I highlighted in purple on that x-axis. So in that scenario, we're able to say, for our domain, that we would go from -4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 10. Something to talk about here is these lines underneath the arrow. I do have an included dot right here, and I do have an included dot right here, so those arrows have lines underneath them. On the flip side of that, of course, is our range. Range is a conversation about y values. So I start at the bottom of the graph, that lowest point. I can see the minimum right there. I can see the maximum right there. And I'm able to highlight. And as I highlight on the y-axis this time, we'll go ahead and change it to orange. That is where I'm going with that. So in this scenario, I would have a range that would involve all the numbers between -2 and +6. So we write -2 is less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 6. So that is differentiating between intervals and domain and range. We'll continue on discussing now what's new to us here in this unit, which is these arrows that could appear at the end of our piecewise functions.